Hi everyone and welcome to Rainier Books. Today I want to start a new segment on my channel. I want to start a segment with top 10 lists that might interest you, and today is the time to start this with something that I thought about. Either are you someone who is trying to read some escapist literature and don't want to read anything more about the pandemic, or you are inclined to read what authors all around the world have thought about pandemics earlier. So in the first part of 2, I'm going to present you with 10 novels that actually deal with pandemics during our pandemic. Welcome to this new segment, and let's get started. Number 10 of the novels about pandemics on my list is Laura Kasischke, In a Perfect World. Published in 2009 by Harper, Laura Kasischke explores a very interesting theme because we have Giselle, who's 32 years old. She's a flight attendant. She lives in the United States. She is newly married to Mark. Mark is a pilot, and he has 3 children. The 3 children that Giselle is sort of being the stepmother of don't like her at all. They are openly hostile to her. And a pandemic breaks out, the so-called Phoenix flu, which also leads to a lot of hostility against Americans all over the world because it comes from the United States. And Mark, the pilot, is restrained in Europe because he cannot go back to America. And Giselle is stuck with her 3 stepchildren, and they have to find some kind of way to deal with each other now because Mark is not going to come back the next few weeks or next few months. And this novel is about marriage, about children, about trying to build family bonds, and of course it's about a pandemic, the Phoenix flu. That is number 10 of my novels dealing with pandemics. Number 9 is Mike Chen, A Beginning at the End. That is a novel that's actually published in January of 2020, and this is a book about 6 people living in the San Francisco Bay Area. And we are meeting them in a time after a pandemic that killed lots of people all around the world. And we have, as the main character, we have Mira, an aspiring former pop singer who has problems with her father, who's still alive and who's tracking her. We have a family father who lost his wife and who is taking care of her daughter, and a few other people. And those people are finding each other in the course of this novel, and when a new pandemic comes on the horizon, they all have to gather together and work together to try and save the last bit of peace and last bit of companionship that they have. This is number 9, At the Beginning of the End by Mike Chen. Number 8 of the novels about pandemics is Karen Thompson Walker's novel The Dreamers, published in 2019. This is a book about a place in Southern California, and we have a remote place in Southern California, a college there, and girls who live in the dorms of the college are falling asleep and they don't wake up, and they are very sick. And a pandemic breaks out, and the National Guard is called in, and people are doing a lot of research about this new pandemic and the new virus that is threatening the people, makes them sleep and makes them dream with a brain activity that has never ever been recorded before in the history of humans. So this is the novel The Dreamers by Karen Thompson Walker. Number 7 is the novel Severance by Ling. This is about Candace Chen, a millennial drone self-sequestered in a Manhattan office tower, and she's devoted to routine. So she barely notices when a plague of biblical proportions establishes itself in New York. The so-called Chen fever is spreading, and it's very fatal, and many people die. Companies halt operations, people go in lockdown. Candace meets up with a couple of people who are traveling together with her to a place called The Facility, where they will have everything they need to start a new society in the United States. But Candace is carrying a secret she knows one of them others will exploit. Should she escape from her rescuers? a send-up and take-down of the rituals, routines, and missed opportunities of contemporary life, Lingma's Severance is a quirky coming-of-adulthood tale and satire. And it's another novel about a pandemic in the United States. Number 6 on the list is a book that I took in because it's one of the classical novels about pandemics, although it's not really dealing that much with the pandemics. It's called Love in the Times of Cholera by the famous South American Colombian author and Nobel Prize winner Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This book was called El Amor en los Tiempos del Cólera in Spanish. It was published in 1985, and this is a love story, as you might know who have read it, between Florentino Ariza and Fermina Daza. They love each other very much and when they are very, very young, but they can never come together because their parents are against this marriage. Against this relationship. So the girl is finally marrying a doctor by the name of Juvenal Urbino, and she lives with him her whole life. And then Juvenal dies, and when they are old, the young guy, Florentino, is proposing to her again. Many people love this poetic and beautiful love story, Love in the Times of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, which makes it up to my number 6 of novels about pandemics. Number 5 on my list is a book by Lawrence Wright called The End of October. This has been published a few weeks ago in the United States, and it's about a guy called Henry Parsons, who's the hero. And there's an outbreak of a horrible virus called the Congoli virus in Indonesia. And Parsons, who's working for the World Health Organization, is being sent to Indonesia to investigate this virus that really kills people. The Congoli virus is much more fatal than the SARS-CoV-2 virus is actually. And Parsons is trying to stop the outbreak because the outbreak has already begun in Indonesia, and it has also been happening to some German tourists who have been in Rome in Italy. So there might be a connection between those two because people have died in Germany due to the virus, which has the same kind of symptoms than the Congoli virus outbreak in Indonesia. The End of October is a novel that's published right in the middle of our pandemic by Lawrence Wright. Lawrence Wright, who is a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. I have earlier read his bestseller, his really very recommendable nonfiction book, The Looming Tower, The Road to 9/11, which really explains Al-Qaeda's road to 9/11, which really explains a lot why and how 9/11 could happen. Lawrence Wright is that with The End of October on my pandemic novel list on number 5. And of course, another classic has made it to number 4. Number 4 on my list of pandemic novels is Albert Camus' The Plague from 1947. The French author has created an unforgettable novel about the plague outbreak in a city in northern Africa, where really everything is changing, where people have to confront themselves with the notion of death, and where suffering, madness, and compassion is really transformed into this book. It's really one of the classics that everybody should read, The Plague by Albert Camus. Number 3 is a novel that I got this week from England, and this is actually Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, a Canadian author. What is this novel about? I can read the back page for you. I haven't read the novel yet, but I certainly will. One snowy night in Toronto, famous actor Arthur Leander dies on stage whilst performing the role of a lifetime. That same evening, a deadly virus touches down in North America. The world will never be the same again. We have heard that before, haven't we? 20 years later, Kirsten, an actress in the Traveling Symphony, performs Shakespeare in the settlements that have grown up since the collapse. But then her newly hopeful world is threatened. If civilization was lost, what would you preserve? And how far would you go to protect it? Emily St. John Mandel, in her very, very praised novel, Station 11, comes in on number 3 of pandemic novels. Number 2 is on the list is Dion Meyer's Fever. Dion Meyer, if you like thrillers, you might have read him before. He's the author of a long series of crime novels starring a South African policeman by the name of Benny Griesel. This novel is written in Afrikaans, like all other novels by Dion Meyer, and translated into English. This novel is dealing in South Africa with a bunch of people who have survived a pandemic that has killed millions of people all over the world, and they are kind of building a new society, and in this new society even crime happens. So this is a crime novel that is set in an apocalyptic future world. Fever by Dion Meyer comes in as number 2. And of my top 10 novels, here comes drums. Here comes number 1. And number 1 of the top 10 novels about pandemics in our pandemic is Stephen King's 1978 novel, The Stand. This is the way the world ends, with a nanosecond of a computer error in Defense Department laboratory and a million casual contacts that form the links in a chain ladder of death. And here is the bleak new world of the day after, a world stripped of its institutions and emptied of 99% of its people. A world in which a handful of panicky survivors choose sides, or are chosen. The Stand by Stephen King is a novel with, I think, 1,100 pages that plays in a world after a pandemic that has killed 99% of all the human population all over the world. In 1978, he published The Stand. So these were my top 10 novels about pandemics in our time of pandemic. Thank you for watching. If you like this video and if you want to see more, you can subscribe to the channel, you can subscribe to my Instagram, you can follow me on Twitter, and you can follow me on Facebook. So there's a connection between all the social media, and all the links are down below in the description. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you click on some of the videos that are being shown in the picture right now, and that we see each other again soon. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great day. Bye-bye.